This is the new iQOO Neo10 global version, and it's got a couple mouth-watering features like an all-new Snapdragon 8s Gen 4 that got almost 2 million AnTuTu, which is pretty crazy for a mid-ranger. And hold your breath for this, a monster 7000 mAh battery thanks to silicon carbon, and 120 watt charging so they can get you topped up super quickly. Anyway, let's get in depth with the iQOO 13 brother and let's see if this is the perfect phone for you. Selamat pagi, good morning everyone, Kenneth here and welcome to my gaming review of the iQOO Neo10. Not to confuse with the Chinese Neo10 because this goes by the name of iQOO Z10 Turbo Pro that was announced a bit earlier. That aside, we're going to focus on two games today, which is Honkai Star Rail and Wuthering Waves, because unfortunately Arena Breakout didn't let me set maximum 120 FPS graphics here. Maybe I'll just go back to good old COD Mobile, and some of you mentioned Car X Street as well. So I am exploring those games, but in any case, I think this should be enough to show you how it performs, at least for now. So let's get started immediately with Honkai Star Rail. As usual, we're starting from a full 100% battery with a cool phone under 35 degrees. I'm going to confirm the settings too, which is set to very high preset, with the only change made is to 60 FPS frame rate. And as you can see on the gaming plugin, we are at monster setting, and we'll also touch the Q1 Supercomputing display chip and other features at the end of the video. Starting off with the city inside Amphoreus, this area absolutely kills devices, because if you can see in the FPS graph, it runs at 30 FPS when you stay still, then it ramps up to 45 when you move, at least it tries to. Then the real deal comes when I look back and all the buildings and NPC came into load. Basically, the frame rate tanked to the 20 FPS range with a low of 17 and a high of 25. I cannot wait to see how other devices will fare in this area. Let's move on and farm more relics for now. As usual, the performance varies quite wildly here. It can reach the 50 FPS high, but also drops down to the 20 FPS low. I'll try to let the game run for a bit for you to see, but I'm very glad that we also have a body temperature sensor readable on PerfDog, so you can see the temperature was actually very commendable, only raising to 38 degrees after 5 minutes into the game. Moving on to the boss fight, I tried to change the characters so we can have different animations. The FPS varies about the same as before, but as expected, Castori's animation may dip more than the others around the 40 FPS mark. Unfortunately, I lost the first boss fight, which is a real shame for a Honkai Star Rail player, but I mean, that's what you get for pulling all DPS characters, right? Anyway, moving on to the second part, we see more of the same pattern with Fuge and Rappa skills showing the lowest dips in the frame rate. And yeah, stopping at 10 minutes mark, we're still at a freaking insane 100% battery, which is so unbelievable. I think we're at the edge of dropping to 99%. Still, incredibly impressive, as usually we're down by 3 to 5% during this 10 minutes run. I still can't wrap my hand around the 40% more battery capacity compared to 5000 mAh flagships, and it's not thick at all, it's just 0.8 centimeter. But yeah, temperature wise, actually it rises very slowly, and we ended the game at 40 degrees top and 37 degrees bottom. Very good performance so far. Now, before the phone cools down too much, let's fire up Wuthering Waves and keep the test running. Again, the settings are confirmed at quality preset and 60 FPS frame rate. No other changes are made, and let's check out how it performs, starting with tacit echo farming. And immediately I was very surprised by the performance. We're getting an almost locked 60 FPS gameplay. Okay, technically it's 59 and we're seeing a dip to as low as 48, especially during Jin Si's animation, which is usually the most taxing. And I did 2 runs here, and actually the second one was even smoother, so much closer to 60 FPS target. And again, I'll try to let the game run for a bit so you can see how smoothly it runs as I'm recording at 60 FPS here, so you can see the lags if it dropped down below that. Temperature wise, actually we pushed the phone even harder as we are seeing a faster increase from 41 to 42 and 43 degrees Celsius. And yeah, next up we're fighting the weekly boss Fleur-de-Lis, and overall it's been a truly smooth sailing experience, hovering around 58 to 60 FPS and a temperature increase from 43 to 44 degrees. That's pretty crazy, and yeah, just check out the clips a little bit longer and we'll talk right after. Okay, last part is where I run around the map. Actually, I was looking for a suitable place to do so in Rinasita off camera. That's why the time went on for about 2 minutes on the bottom left there. And we're getting around 50 FPS here, sometimes 48, sometimes 52. And I'm very sorry for my clumsiness of not being able to fly successfully with the controller. I'm just so not used to it. But again, getting back to the temperature, we are now at 45 degrees Celsius with no throttling in sight. It has been 26 minutes since we started the test. We are at an impressive 95% battery left, which is a 4 battery consumption if you consider Honkai Star Rail consumed 1%. What's interesting here is while the phone does get warm, it does so in a controlled manner. So slowly getting up here, and the vapor chamber cooling system is also doing very well, distributing heat throughout the whole phone surface area. Surprisingly, the phone has excellent heat dissipation. It drops temperature very quickly when you stop playing the game. Because I was just trying to measure it for fun, it was down to 42 degrees and 40 degrees, both top and bottom, and it was only like within the first minute or two after I stopped everything. And also the room temperature was only around 27 degrees because I just turned the AC on, but I thought that was pretty cool to see anyway. Okay, hit a thumbs up if this video has been helpful so far, subscribe for more gaming tests like this, and let's now break down the results in PerfDog, starting with Honkai Star Rail. And we can see the first part where the phone really struggles to load Amphireus and all the NPCs, then quickly jump to the wavy graph all the way across as we play the game. This time I can compare with my previous Poco X7 Pro testing though, and draw some very interesting conclusions. Starting with the smooth score, the iQOO Neo10 got 13.7, which is slightly higher but not too different with 11 from the Poco X7 Pro. The game averaged 44 FPS, but what's mind-blowing to me was the average power consumption. The iQOO Neo10 only used 2300 milliwatts, which is less than half of what the X7 Pro used, and you know why we're still at that mind-blowing 100% battery now. Moving on to Wuthering Waves, this game fares so much better with very solid lines across the board. We have 56 FPS average and 5 smooth score, which obliterates the Poco X7 Pro that only maxed out at 30 FPS, although both phones are doing very good here, scoring under 8 in the smooth score, which is kind of like the smooth baseline from PerfDog. On one side, we can see how efficient 8S Gen 4 is, using up only 3400 milliwatts while still performing better than the Dimensity 8400 Ultra that uses 4500 milliwatts. But on the other hand, it generates so much more heat. As you remember, we ended up 45 degrees on the iQOO, and Poco just maxed out at a cool 40 degrees. This is in line with my daily gaming experience, and let's face it, 45 degrees might be a bit uncomfortable to handhold. So it would be nice to get a cooling fan like this, which will be good not only to your battery, but also you can get every last drop of performance. But not only that, the iQOO Neo10 is also very good in other aspects, especially the camera processing, which is in my opinion better than the X7 Pro. But let's check out some of the sample shots that I've taken so far. Basically, it's got the processing that we got to know and used to from flagship phones, especially indoor shots under dim lighting condition will look nice and bright. Colors look great too, and you have the 3 color presets that you see on iQOO 13, which is vivid, textured, and natural. The only difference is there's no more 4x zoom lens here from the iQOO 13. Otherwise, the main and ultra wide lens looks great. Now, let's check out the video sample and we'll talk right after. Alright, welcome everyone to the video test of the iQOO Neo 10. And what do you think of the video quality? I'm walking a little bit here, and I can see that it's moving a little bit, so I don't know if the video stabilization is in action, but this is what it looks like and this is what it sounds like. Let's go back to the back camera. Alright, so here we are now recording with the back camera, and what do you think of the video quality? Does it even catch my voice in this noisy background as well? Because I don't see any microphone on the back side of the camera, but we do have the video stabilization turned on here. So let's walk a little bit and we'll see if the video stabilization is good and if it crops enough, you know, or too much. So yeah, that concludes the video test, and let me know what you think, and I'll see you back in the video. Now, I don't have much to complain with the back camera. Stabilization is good, it shoots up to 4K 60, but the front camera could be a deal breaker as I don't see any form of digital stabilization kicking in. There's no setting to turn it on. If you record with Instagram app or directly with a camera app, you will both end up with shaky shot. I'll try to follow this up in the pinned comments should we have any firmware updates. Now, some other feature differences that you need to know is firstly, the screen is great. Still the same circular polarization from iQOO 13 that helps with eye comfort. Colors are great, stays bright under sunlight as long as you need it. And my only nitpick here is the bottom bezel that's ever so slightly thicker than the others, although when you use the case, you don't see it as much anymore. Also, fingerprint is back to optical and it's placed at the bottom of the screen. It uses USB 2.0, so no HDMI out. And one thing I wanted to touch on is playing Honkai Star Rail on a pop-up window like this while using other apps. This game on a pop-up window always hangs and crashes after a few minutes. It doesn't happen when the game is in the foreground, so I pop up other things like browser or Discord, for example, it crashed. But yeah, I don't see why it can't do that performance-wise, so I hope that this is a bug that will be patched in the future. Moving on to charging, we still have bypass charging from the gaming plugin as usual, but since we have a 7000 mAh battery that's so big here, charging will surely take a while, right? Well, not really. The 120 watts flash charge system once again flexes in both charging speed and temperature. We see the charging peaks out at 90 watts at the start, but the temperature is still very controlled at below 34 degrees. Then it goes down and sustains 40 to 30 watts throughout the whole charging session until it trickle charges about 10 minutes to the end. So you can see that stair-like power down graph. We get around 30% back within 10 minutes, 50% within 20 minutes, and a full charge takes less than 1 hour. But what's even more mind-blowing is the temperature that's maxed out at 35 degrees at a normal 27 degrees Celsius room temperature again. This is amazing, and I recommend turning on fast charging from the first time setting it up because no way it's gonna damage your battery with that kind of temperature. Furthermore, what I love about Vivo or iQOO charging systems is their compatibility with other standards. The phone supports 100 watts PPS and PD charging, which is very commonly seen in third-party chargers. So if you get Anchor chargers like this, then you're not missing out. Heck, you can even take the included charger and charge other devices at full 100 watts, which is capable enough to drive my MacBook Pro or any other modern laptops and devices as well. I love it. Finally, let's talk about the Q1 Supercomputing display chip that unfortunately does not have any frame rate interpolations or no 90 FPS or 120 FPS gameplay. It can only do resolution upscaling. Even then, it's very limited to COD Mobile, Clash of Clans, Genshin Impact, Honor of Kings, Mobile Legends, and PUBG Mobile here. So no newer games like HSR or Wuthering Waves. That's because the Q1 is kind of the older version of the Q2 chip that we see on the iQOO 13. But yeah, that aside, it does its job pretty well in keeping the frame rate stable, and I think that's good enough for a phone at this price. Touching FuntouchOS in general, I think I have no problem with it at all. It's very, very nice and snappy. The only thing is you need to turn off this global search, but otherwise, that's pretty much it. There's not much bloatware going on. You can pretty much uninstall all of them. And yeah, it doesn't interfere with whatever I wanted to do with the phone, which is good. So that's pretty much everything I can share with the iQOO Neo10. Let me know in the comments if you will get it or no. And don't forget to check out my affiliate links to help me support the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kenneth, and I'll see you in the next one.